Hey everyone, we're here in the studio today to go over the book Destiny's Calling. This is an interview with Kenneth Johnson, prefers to go by KJ. So KJ, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about the book, give us a preface of what you wrote, why you wrote it. Go ahead.
Yeah, so again, KJ, obviously very pleased to be here and do this. For me, the book, I just love writing. So one of those things I just wanted to kind of get into something, actually putting a product out there. I've been writing for years, probably decades, more than that, and I just feel like I've never put any actual product out there to kind of convey what I love doing. And it's a passion of mine, hobby, sure, but just something that I just love doing. And so for me, I grew up faith-based. I did 20 years in the Air Force, which some of that is going to be lining into the book. And but I really enjoy and appreciate movies like Lord of the Rings, Marvel Cinematic Universe, DC, stuff like that. So of course those are little itches of things that you just kind of see kind of streaming through the process of the writing that I love doing. So I love thrillers, I love action, I love impact. However, because I'm faith-based, of course, because I'm Christian, I'm a strong believer, I thought it would be great to have like a kind of faith-based Christian thriller book, something like really exciting and a lot of action and stuff, but that's more based off of members doing things that's part of what they're being moved to do via God's mission, God's anointing, and His purpose for their lives. And so that's kind of what the book's about.
Okay, and I'm glad you brought that up because I feel like this is a great segue into my question of what would you say if you were going to give it like a 3-sentence paragraph, maybe 4, of what the preface of your book is. Go.
Right. So the book is about a retired guy who's just trying to find his way in the world after several feats before his time in the military, and now he's retired, trying to figure out what he's going to be doing in his life, and a scenario or a conflict comes up that he needs to battle. And so he does that with the help of his family, close friends, where they embark on a mission to take down some of the spiritual and physical threats that's pretty much coming upon the earth due to the Dark One, which what we call it in the book, but the enemy that's trying to, basically embrace some sort of disunity that he sees on earth and using that to his ability to kind of take over, So that's pretty much what the book's about. It's just a matter of just think of a whole bunch of Avengers, but instead of getting their powers from different unique situations like an explosion of a plane or a serum, they're getting it through the anointing of an angel of the Lord via God's purpose and mission.
Okay, so it sounds like there's a lot of real life, but it sounds like there may be, because you mentioned like Marvel, superheroes, sounds like there may be some fiction in there. What would you consider? Would you consider it to be a fictional? Would you consider it to be a real life? What does this look like? Are there superpowers? Is this just all supposed to be natural? What kind of book are we talking about?
So it is a fiction book, right? So not real, but there are definitely real elements in it. I have people who are real people who are in the book. Those who are very close to me, my family, extended friends, so on and so forth. But it is in itself fiction. And of course, like the environment, things that I choose to, as far as like the settings or all that are real. So I did my research to make sure I wasn't like finagling like the wrong location or the depth or the atmosphere or whatever like that. So I did all that, to make sure it was true to its real purpose. Obviously, the functions and everything that's happening in the book are fiction.
Okay. And the setting, is there a specific setting that this is going on? Like, where's the place that all of this in the book is happening? Is it multiple places?
It is in multiple places. As far as the year, I guess that would be depicted when I first started writing it. So that would be probably right after I retired, which is kind of the premise, like kind of where it starts. And so I would say probably 2022, 2023 time frame in that regard. But everything else in regards to like where it's at is real, but not necessarily everything that's happening there necessarily real.
What was the maybe particular event, or maybe like a Bible verse, or like a personal experience that sparks this particular story?
So of course, as a faith-based guy, a Christian, a strong believer in the Lord, in Jesus Christ, and how he's, saved me. And I would say that God is the utmost inspiration for me. But in particular, to writing this book, I would definitely say, pending my retirement and leading into it, I kind of wanted to write this book because I realized that I had depended on the military a lot. It kind of, I won't say kind of, but it really did define who I was. And as I was retiring from the military, or gearing towards retiring from the military, probably during the time I was interning here before my actual departure, I was kind of at a crossroads, trying to figure out what my purpose was after that. And so that feeling that I do itch inside the book is real, because it's like, where do I go from here? Or did I lean too much on the military, for that role? Like, okay, this is my purpose in life. So after that, where do I find myself? So for me, I wanted to write something that was encouraging, that was, again, faith-based, but of course, like I said, action feel through, because that's just the kind of genre that I want to get into. But because I was at where I was at, I knew the feeling and would be real, and I knew writing it needed to happen now. So as far as why now,
That was one of my questions. Why now?
Yeah. As far as why now, it's best, in my opinion, to do something like this, like writing down. Like anytime you have a thought, like where you're a vocalist or a rapper or anything like that, you want to write it down as soon as you have it. For me, writing this book as soon as I could and getting it published as soon as I could was in the best interest of me, just getting those thoughts and those stuff out there, because there actually are real thoughts and situations and complications that I did have following retirement. Just trying to find where I am in the Lord and where I am in this thing called life. Like after the military, it was like, where do I go now? What do I do now? What's my purpose now? And so that was kind of the purpose behind writing this particular book. I've been writing for years, but me wanting to publish this and actually make this my first product to the world was because of those things.
Got it. Faith-based. You keep mentioning this word faith-based, right? So how do you balance in the book this idea of action-packed thriller, which are your words, right? That's what we're going to call it, is an action-packed thriller, but also tying in a spiritual aspect to it. How does that look? How do you balance that throughout the book?
I'd say it's very conversationally led. Like I'm very, there are writers who might be more literary, meaning they're more narrative, so they're going to be writing, you're going to have a lot more descriptions and this and that in the book or short film or whatever they're doing, that's going to literally kind of tell you what's going on. A lot of what's going on in the book is led a lot by people's conversations with each other, and so in those conversations, you're diving in deep into things that have happened, things that are happening, how people are feeling, why they're feeling that way, and a lot of that dives into people's lack of faith or they're needing to get better at the faith. Even in myself, in the book like that, there are times where I'm battling with whether or not I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, if I'm walking the path I'm supposed to be walking, because it's in that moment or in that period of time is the reason why the enemy thought it'd be a great time to attack. Because look, the Lord's chosen one is kind of conflicted right now. This is the best time for me to attack because he's weak, so he thinks, right? He's weak, and so this is the best time to come. So for me, that's kind of how I balance that. There's conversations that happen in the book that help kind of illuminate the faith-based part of it, while also having action kind of being tailored toward that, because we know that they have powers, in the book, as you asked. But where their powers come from is very, very clear, because there's a scene in there where I definitely identify how they're getting their powers.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
So it's not just, we've seen, I've mentioned MCU, so there are definitely different ways that people have gotten powers throughout several superhero genres, right? But this is literally focused on, there's an angel of the Lord, they come down, here's your powers via God's direction. This is how you're getting them. This is what you're using it for.
So in the Bible, we have, letters from Paul, right? We have, the Gospels. There are central themes, central truths, as it's put, in those letters, in those scriptures, in those epistles. What would you consider to be your central truth within the story that you've written?
That's a good one. Might be a couple of them in there, actually, weaving in there throughout. One of them, for sure, is forgiveness. There is
That's huge.
a grand part of it, and not to give too much away, but there's a grand part of it where there's a member who's a good, fictional, but a good part of the story, where one of the members who's in that story, who's supposed to be posing as that member's bodyguard, ends up being that member's mentor, because they're guiding them to helping them forgive something that was just one of those kind of, I won't say unforgettable or unforgivable, but it's just one of those things that you go through, like, it's really going to be really difficult for me to get past this situation and forgive that person for that action, right? And so and that is like bled throughout, you know. Another one is realizing that we can't lean on our own strength. I kind of capitalize on that in the book, because it has everything to do with yes, the enemy was correct in noticing that at a very what do you call that, like low balanced time in my life. You know, I'm a very, very, very questionable time in my life. You know, to attack then made sense strategically for the enemy. However, but God,
Right.
Which is of course the encouraging part of it is that there's still nothing that you can't do without God. For me, if my life verse, if I were to name one, would be like, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Right. That's like my life first. You know.
Sure.
And
Thank you for taking one of my questions.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. That wasn't one of them. Go ahead, continue. Go ahead.
But yes, I mean, but for me, my life verse is that, and that is woven in there because I have to realize that yes, I'm the chosen one in the book, but God has done His due diligence in surrounding me with people who can help guide. You know, I have very good friends who are like family. I have my parents, I have my brothers, I have people who are there to help. You know, say, hey, you're good, but let's get you back on the path. You know.
So in the story, these characters that are with you, they're essential to
Yes.
your personal growth
Absolutely.
as the
Absolutely.
main character.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Excellent. So I want to talk to you a little bit about reflection, right? So as we're writing a book, right, I feel like it's only natural. We kind of talked about this at the beginning, right? It's only natural for you to put yourself into it. And I mean, quite frankly, it's all about you, right? It's all about the inner goings of your life and the people around you, right? So of course, you are going to be putting yourself into it. Every writer is going to be putting their emotions, their dealings, their experiences into a work of art that they're putting out, right? Was there anything reflection-wise that surprised you, yourself, the writer, and the character as you were writing the book?
As I already communicated, there is a large amount of actual things that have occurred in my life, and mostly my life. I'm not putting other people's business in this book, obviously. It's mostly has to do with things that have happened or that have occurred in my life. And because of that, it leads to a no kidding scenario where I am faced in, as someone said in a movie, in the spaces between spaces, where I'm communicating with another being who I then recognize as someone that I knew on Earth, and we didn't have the greatest relationship, you know. So, and that person is responsible for actually helping behind the scenes, but I'm not okay with their new revealed honor that they're attaining after they've done me wrong. I'm like, oh, so you get rewarded for being a jerk, you know? So,
But this isn't your antagonist; it's the dark one.
and it's not even the antagonist or the dark one.
Right,
It's,
right.
It's a person who's actually
Conflict of interest, maybe.
actually an ally at this point. But in previous iterations of what I would say, like if you were to it'd be like it's like, oh my gosh, if you think of Star Wars, right? And the first movie that we saw was what? The first movie that came out in most of our time was number 4. But there were 3 previous that they then came out and made after you saw number 6, right? That's kind of where we're at with this book, right? We're in the 4th installment, you know, and there are 3 previous. In those 3 previous, this now new ally used to be the person's greatest ally, then turned enemy. So the last time that I saw that person, they were almost an enemy and then made the right decision at the last minute. But we never got that, you know, fix it. Let's talk about this. What really happened? Why did you do that? Blah, blah, blah. Conversation. You know what I'm saying? those are real life type scenarios that are built in there because there was a loss in my personal life, and the person who I lost, I never got to have that conversation with them. I never got to sit down and say, so can we go through why you did what you did to me? You know, I never got to have that conversation. So the surprise, per your question, that happened as I'm writing in the book was the conversation that I'm typing. And as I'm typing, like it's just going. Like,
Right.
And I'm realizing that, oh, I have all this stuff still in me because I have no problem writing it. You know?
Right.
And it wasn't like, what do I write? I didn't get a writer's block at any point during that scene. You know,
Awesome.
like what I had to do was edit to make sure it wasn't too strong, too horrific, too because a lot of stuff was coming out that I again never actually got to really communicate to this member. And again, without giving too much detail, I'm not giving you the person I'm talking about because I want you to readers to read
the
it.
book.
Yeah.
Read the book.
But it's meant to be one of the my most.
Don't we have a? I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but don't we have a little?
We do.
A preview or
We
what
do.
the book looks like?
Let me bring it up.
Yeah.
But
Please bookmark your thought, though.
Yeah, but yes, but there is a scene in there. Go away. But there is a scene in there where I am communicating with that person. Where I finally get to communicate with that person, and it's fleshed out like in that script or in this scene to a point to where it's actually advocating exactly what I would want to say if this person were sitting here on this couch next to me, saying, "Hey, you know." Obviously, the loss was a loss, but the loss was also very bitter because I felt that person got to get out of being accountable for what they did beforehand.
Got it.
You know.
Now, this is all, I'm sure, part of that central truth you talked
Correct,
about being
correct.
forgiveness.
Correct,
right?
right,
So
yeah.
this is
Yeah.
This is a little bit
I'm
of the
part that
insight of
forgiveness.
what
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about.
yeah,
Oh, that's interesting.
Because it's mostly it's because it's embellishing the fact that, well, yeah, of course, because early on, like in some of the battles, I'm strong and probably stronger than most of the other ones who were superpowered, but not as strong as I could be. What's holding me back? I can't reach my full potential. God's not blessing me, anointing me the way that He can because I'm blocking it by my own means of not forgiving and not letting go of things. As a commercial break, this is of course the book itself. Can you see it? All right, and then I got the back cover. My colleagues will love this, but yeah.
Is that the whole cast right there?
That's not the whole cast. It's just a great amount of the co-leading characters in it. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, they love that. But yeah, good stuff. But yeah, the company that I work with did a great job in creating that image.
Oh, yeah,
and
definitely.
creating
No,
book.
it looks
So,
great.
Yeah. So
And KJ, what's your favorite color?
yeah. Red.
Right. Right.
And it's funny because I didn't tell.
Right.
It's funny because I didn't tell the editors that. So I was like, wow, is this so on point or what? Like,
Oh, you didn't ask for the red.
I didn't ask for the red.
Oh,
I didn't say I had to be red. But
I feel like it's meant to be.
yeah, no. It's very explosive. It's very, so obviously the editors who help make who are also helping the marketing, all the copyrights, all that kind of stuff. Of course, they read the book, right? So it just makes sense that they help me with marketing as far as like how the cover should look. I gave them ideas. Hence the pictures in the back, how kind of one of them, I literally gave them like, hey, this is what I'm thinking. I sent like a PowerPoint to them. But other than that, like they created like all that stuff.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so it's just the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and they did a
I gave them like little ideas like PowerPoint. I have no artisticness in that area. That's not art in that form did not come upon me as a gift. Absolutely not.
Right, right.
Yeah, not in art. Nope. You said, okay, dancing, singing, writing.
Right. Art?
Acting, drawing? No. That's enough.
You're like, excuse me, corporation? I'm 5. I don't know how to art.
Yeah, so you don't want me doing it, so I definitely had someone else doing it. But yeah,
Right,
they did a great job.
definitely. Talking a little bit about characters, let's go back to some of these guys.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you are a character, right?
Yes.
In the book, right?
Yes.
But if you were to identify yourself with a character in the book, would you identify yourself very specifically with one of them?
Let's see, other than myself.
Maybe one that's an impact to you, right? Huge impact that you find when you were writing the book kind of tethered your heart to the character?
I'm not sure if I would align myself with another, because one thing I guess you just don't think about when you're putting real people in there, and you're one of the real people. But there is something that I would say that kind of challenged me
Okay.
in regards to like a character that I would aim to want to be like, or maybe a couple of them, because there are several scenarios, to where members who are like friends of mine or just allies in the book are doing what might not be super powered type of actions, but they're doing God's work because they just happen to be at the place at the right time in God's timing, right?
Are these behind the scenes kind of characters? Or?
Yeah. So
Okay.
like there's, and I make sure I have that etched in throughout the book as well. So it's not just the superpowered beings who are on a mission that are doing what they're doing as part of the plot. Like there's other things happening in the background. There's investigators. There's CIA. There's people doing stuff at the Pentagon. There's cops who are involved. There's firemen. There's people who are just allies of mine who are mentoring to someone who's watching what's going on, and they know that they're doing, like, there's one instance, there's a guy who's working on pools at a guy's house who's not a believer, but then because this mission is being highly televised for the world to see on purpose, then it's challenging any and everyone throughout the world who's watching. It's like, wow, is this really happening? Did God really give powers to these people just so they can save us? Like, that's amazing, So it's meant to challenge them. And so challenge for me, because as I'm writing this, like there are several evangelistic things happening throughout the world from these people, and I challenge myself to be more like that, to be, if I'm in a situation, to be able to take the time to minister to that person that God has me next to, I'm a busybody, like in real life. I'm a busybody, so it's just part of the mission, part of what I feel I'm tasked to do here at this church, and just in life. This is what I do. I'm very task oriented. And I challenge myself not to miss opportunities because I'm so task oriented on ministering to other people, Sure. And so in that, I see myself wanting to be like many of the members that I write in the book. There are real people again, but they're people who are not necessarily superpowered. They're not on the mission field, with me shoulder to shoulder battling these superpowered enemies. But they are in the mission field, per se, getting the mission done in regards to ministering to people that really need it at the time they need it.
So you would say taking every opportunity that you can, right?
Yes.
Is that in a nutshell what
Yeah.
you're getting at, right?
Yes.
Okay, excellent, right? And as is the commission, right?
Correct.
Take every opportunity,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Are there subplots or world building, that we're going to call it, that are taking place sort of around the main focus, that are going on in other people's lives, maybe building their faith, maybe things that they're going through, but maybe you can kind of help us to see what is going on in this world building scheme in the background?
Sure, right. So there's a main mission, as there always is, right? And there are people on this main mission, of course, and those people have relatives, So much of the mission for those who are sustaining what we would call the subplot, right, are the ones taking care of the relatives of those in the main mission, So as is most enemies, who are cowardice and will do sneaky things to try to take us off focus, such it is with the enemy. He'll try to, his goal is to what? Steal, kill, and destroy.
Absolutely.
Right. So his goal is using his human puppets to try and take out, most, if not all, of any relatives of those who are on the physical battlefield doing the mission, right? Of course, granted, what he doesn't realize that there is other entities on our side, that God anoints, including the person who's, so I'm in it as a chosen one, but there's another member in it who's, I won't say necessarily more powerful, but just powerful in a different way. But her realm of goal and purpose is to be the one that communes with God the most, and I guess the best, or whatever, right? And so she has a lot of premonitionary type gifts, which allow her to see at least the immediate future pretty easily, right? And in that, we're able to ascertain, I think he's going to try to attack such and such's kids, so let's send someone over there. So there's things that happen in that form to where members of the Pentagon who have been pretty much set over all officers and firemen and everything in the world, because it's kind of like an agreed upon policy that at that point, those of the Pentagon will call the shots. So if a chief at the Pentagon says, hey, I need 10 cops over in New Orleans to meet me at such and such building, that police chief will send 10 cops as per the chief that's at the Pentagon. So that's kind of the way it's happening, because you kind of see people uniting, saying, we don't have time for jurisdiction and my boss, and we don't have time for that. So all these things are happening.
Hollywood, right?
Yeah, right.
Hey man, I just want to come in guns blazing.
Let's
go.
Right. But I make it to where there's like a central location, or a central united front or spot, to where that's where all the direction is coming from. Because if I'm on the mission field dealing with these darn demons who have these weird powers, I really don't have, as much time as I would love, to take the time to go investigate and find all the darn family members of every single person that's on my right and my left, and make sure they're their cousins and their moms and their grandparents, and all that. That's what the Pentagon, via the members around the world, are doing. They're making sure that anyone who's related to anyone on the field is taken care of.
Got it.
Because they know the way the enemy thinks. And so because the president has the role that he does in the book, alongside the Heavenly Messenger, they're able to ascertain those things and ensue the subplots will kind of like a running. So that runs the entire time as the main missions are running. So it's not just focused on what's happening on the battlefield, but it's also focused on the things that are happening in the background that are helping those. And
these family members, these are the ones who are sort of developing in the background?
So yeah, some of them are. Some of them are either gaining faith. There are even those who were of youth who ended up actually acquiring some power themselves. Because as I kind of put in there, when it comes to, I think there's this one point, and I'll make this real quick. There's this one point where I think I had heard or was witnessing one of my nephews just witness to someone, and the person was like, hey, blah 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 blah, and my nephew was like, oh, so are you gonna come to church, or am I gonna see you at church? And he's like, oh, I don't go to church. And my nephew was like, oh, so you don't know God? Oh my gosh. He's like, well, let me tell you about God. Let me tell you about him. And I was like, the purest heart of, what I'm saying? I mean, a Christian kid, oh my gosh. What I'm saying? A kid who knows the Lord is like the purest thing, because they don't wear some of the burden that we put on ourselves as adults, like being nervous, like, oh, should I share it? Is it the right time? Am I gonna feel awkward? Is someone gonna laugh at me?
Insecurity, really.
Yeah.
In my opinion, the worst form of pride is insecurity.
Right.
Not to get off topic.
But the kids don't deal with that,
right?
Because the question comes up, I think even in the book, like, wait, these kids weren't at the White House, and everyone got the power. So how did they automatically just have them? And the response that the leader or pastor had, like, well, because they're the purest of form of belief in Christianity. God doesn't have to try to convince them on why they should have and they don't need an mission. They're just like, we've seen all those movies, which of course are fiction, but the things always seem to happen to the kids, because the kids have no problem believing that, yes, E.T., you're real, you're weird, but you're real, come to the house. You know what I'm saying?
E.T.
Right.
He's weird.
Right. He's weird, but you know what? Everyone needs love. Come to my house.
Yeah.
I'm not to hide it from my adults, because adults think so much, right?
Yeah.
But that's the premise of it, But so there are actual kids who are actually in their beginning stages of their power, and I bring that into it, into again another background. But they're beginning their powers. Of course, that'll be extensive in books to follow. But that's kind of part of the subplot as well.
Yeah. How do you hope this story reaches readers that may not share the same faith, right? The same values that you're trying to portray in the book, right? Because that's what it's all for, right?
Yes.
It's for the reader, right?
Yeah.
So,
pretty easy. I hope it encourages them to really dig deep and know that there is a God out there who loves you. So, that premise is literally throughout. There are several characters who are in the book, and I do that on purpose. I make sure that I have unbelievers who are, and they're fictional, but I have unbelievers who are in the book, who eventually in the book do take a step. Not necessarily, they don't all raise their right hand and say, okay, I'm saved today, but they take a step in saying, you know what? when's that church service again? You know, they take steps in wanting to know about this guy. Okay, he did all this. Lord, all right, you must something's going on. So let me look through it. You know, let me look at it. Let me look into it. Right. And that's, you know, and there's some people who do definitely like get saved and like that I have seen that do that. But there are elements out there where I kind of do leave it open to where the person, you know what, invite me to church, or you know what, I will have that prayer with you, or you know, whatever, because I get it. You know, not everyone who's reading is going to be saved. Not everyone who's reading is going to be a Christian or a believer or that kind of stuff. That's kind of the whole point. It's meant to be a fun book to where it'll attract you whether you're a believer or not. It's still an action thriller that happens to be faith-based.
Sure,
you know? But
sure.
it's centered off of what we can do and the type of things that we can do. Obviously, not having superpowers, but the types of things that we can do in God's mission if we're walking in His will. And it has everything to do with the impact that my faith is having on me throughout the book, and everything that has to do with the impact that it's having on other people who are in the book that are not really interested in the faith, but learn as they're going through. It's like you kind of going through the situation, and like, there's no way that I can go through this entire situation and not have some sort of itch to want to know who this God is.
Right.
And that's the whole point.
Right,
You know,
right.
It's kind of bringing it to light. Yes, it's fictional.
Edge of your seat.
Right.
Right,
Yes, it's fictional. Yes,
yeah.
that's what's happening, and it most likely wouldn't happen. You know, but it still tests the measure of, but where's your faith? You know,
Almost as if God is focal point, yes,
Yes.
but also like background, the superhero.
right, exactly,
Right?
exactly, 100%.
That's what I think you're getting
100%.
at, right? Yeah, absolutely. That's very cool. KJ, I want to touch on a topic we've already talked about, kind of trail back on this idea of forgiveness, right? We're talking about the Lord being sort of the superpower behind the scenes, right? But also not behind the scenes. He's everywhere. He's everything, right? And so as they're reading this, whether they're faith-based or not, it's introspective, right? And so maybe, just maybe, as they're reading it, they are seeing the heart of forgiveness that you as the main character are having. Are there other characters that struggle with this as well, by the way?
Yes, I mean, there's one in particular. She's fictional, but she's struggling with it the entire time. I think I mentioned her before, that she's kind of one of those like very difficult, blah blah blah, you know. And she went through it. Like, I mean, what she went through is hard. It's rough, you know. Kind of an orphan, you know, and the details will be in the book. But just like she's going through it, and she finds herself being employed by the same president who's working side by side with me and my parents for this mission. And in essence, she was kind of like one of the antagonists, you know, in essence, you know, because she was always speaking against the president, speaking against having a lack of knowledge of who I was in previous issues, blah, blah, blah. You know, and like, why are you hiding him, blah, 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 you know, was kind of her take, because she always just had she used her career to kind of ask the questions that she always wanted to ask, because she's always been bitter because of what happened to her, you know. And in that, she has to learn forgiveness, right? She has to forgive the president. She has to forgive the person who actually wronged her. She has to forgive, you know, the guy that she hated and doesn't want to know because of everything that's happened. So all that.
Tested over and over.
Yeah, all that is literally grueling in her as situation, because again, you can't be part of all that, you know, and not be like, you know, like,
Yeah.
come on, I'm right here.
Get it together.
I'm showing you.
Yeah, right,
I'm showing you.
right.
You know, you literally are earning zeros right now because
Sometimes it feels like that.
because the gracious boss saw fit to hire you because everyone else didn't want to work with you because of your actions. If that's not God, you know, you literally have food to eat because God said, okay, since you run your mouth so much that no one wants to hire you, I'll let the person that you hated so much hire you.
Grace, though, right?
I mean, my goodness.
A lot of it.
That president had to have it, let alone, you know,
Sure.
I mean, my goodness. I mean, but that's what that's like toward the beginning. I'm building upon that, you know, to where that person's really feeling like, I don't even know how I got in this situation, but I'm gonna just go through it because the person's a go-getter, so whatever. It'll serve my purpose because I'll get to know the information that I want to know anyway, because now I get to be part of a mission that includes a person who I didn't even know very much about, this KJ guy, you know. So, you know, and that's how it's presented to her. Like, well, and you be closer to the info, so you kind of get what you've always been asking for anyway, which is more info, you know.
Incentive, right?
Yeah,
Right.
because she's a journalist, you know. So that's what they want. They want to get in the mix and know all the stuff, right? And so there are definitely other people who are needing to forgive in whatever different element, you know, whether that's the person who actually did the wrong to her, but of course she had no problem as a journalist talking about him in a negative way, which means no one else would ever hire him, you know.
Maybe those two shouldn't mix, right?
Right.
Journalists,
right.
Hurts.
Right.
I don't know, put the two together.
But interesting enough, they do, you know. Stay tuned, you know. So because she's met with the challenge to where she literally has to work with the very person she couldn't forgive under another person who hired both of them, you know. So it's like, well, no, I'm stuck with the situation, so now I have to deal with it, you know.
Right. Real life problems.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So
yes.
how does it handle?
You might have to work. You might have to work with someone that you don't like or couldn't forgive or like that. Now, this is a very extreme situation, so I don't imagine many people would entrap themselves in this type of scenario. However, it speaks true to what it means and how much you can just be free. And I know that's cliche. You're free yourself if you forgive. Yes, but there's even deeper than that. Because,
I love it.
Yeah, because it's just there's so much more you can do, including me as a main character, that I could do once I tapped into letting go. Now, I had done the forgiveness part, you know, because I checked the box as a Christian, right? But I had not done the bitterness part and like, I'm an accountability guy. I'll forgive you in a minute, but we're gonna have a conversation too.
For the forgiveness aspect that we're talking about, what would you say personally with the things that you've experienced in your life, right? In the life of KJ, in the book, right? As you're writing it, penning it out, that you would say maybe to somebody who still struggles with that?
I think I would say, I mean, you really cannot do what you were put on this earth to do if you're using so much of your mental capacity to be bitter and not forgive the person who wronged you. There are movies, plethora out there, you know, that will communicate the need to forgive someone in order to free yourself. And that's so much, there's so much truth in that, but there's also more in depth even in that, because it's not only that you're freeing yourself, but you're giving yourself an opportunity to actually be yourself in its truest form without the burden of the bitterness that comes along with not forgiving, and thus taking your attention away from that. Like, I was actually exponentially a lot better in my ability to just focus on the mission, my life, and the purpose God has for me. When I got into writing this book, like this book has been, or it continues to be, very therapeutic. There were discussions that were happening between me and the editors, and they were like, hey, so we noticed, KJ, that, or Kenneth, whatever they call me, we noticed that, hey, you're writing in, like, we noticed that you are in the book, or you're saying I, blah, blah, blah. But then there are other scenes that are happening, you know, that obviously are being spoke to as well. So it might give off the impression that you are omnipotent or like that. I'm like, that's a good point, you know. Not jokingly, I was gonna say, well, it might help that I happen to be sort of the shoulder with a telepath. You know, I could probably just lean on that, and that would probably ride the plot hole, you know, that way. I'm like, well, I'm next to a telepath, so of course he's telling me what's going on when I'm not, where I'm not, you know, because he's right next to me. He can tell what's going on at any time, you know. But in its truest form, what I tell the editors is that because it's so therapeutic, I don't want to speak to it in third person. I don't want to say KJ did, KJ felt, KJ thought, you know, because it's very internal. It's very much me in the book. It's very therapeutic, and I can speak to it in a much more valued manner in first person as myself, right? So yes, I'm going to continue writing in the I form because it's internalized. You know, it is something that these are things that I have been through, and it's probably done in a very unique way. I don't know if anyone else has written like this, and it's fine, you know, if they have. But there are real things and real people happening in a fictional book.
Absolutely.
And I did that on purpose because the people that are around me are the same people who have helped me become the person that I am still becoming. We don't ever reach that mountain peak, right? We're always walking or sometimes crawling toward it, right? When we don't want to do it, I don't want to do it. Get there, get back on track, right? So I have friends and family of mine who are continuously helping me to get back on that path, or stay on that path that I'm on. And so I wouldn't have it any other way other than making sure that I'm communicating in a way to people who are reading and or viewing or whatever, or listening for audiobooks, that you don't get very far in life in an efficient manner without moving on from the bitterness. You just really can't, you know. Trust me, I've had to be there in real time, you know, and it's also eradicated a lot, or illuminated, excuse me, in the book a lot, that I, KJ, could not get as far as I should have been able to get to, because I was so focused on the fact that I never got to sit down with that person who hurt me and have that conversation. Which I am still a person who's about that. I am a man who's about accountability. Like, we're gonna forgive, but we're also gonna have the convo so that we can talk through that process, that mind process, and what was going through your mind, and blah blah blah. So I'm still that guy, but I can't allow being that guy to stop me from focusing on the fact that I need to forgive and move on.
Now, what if you don't have that person to sit down?
Yeah, and that's real, and that's in the book.
It's in the book. We talked about it.
Yeah, it's 100% in the book. If the person is not here to have that conversation, you still need to get over it, and that is
cut and dry.
But that's like the real, you know. Now this book was my therapeutic way, whatever works for you, you know. If that means that you're gonna go talk to pastor such and such, or pray about it, which of course should be the go-to. For those who are faith-based, you're praying about it. For those who are not, you're meeting with family members who can help get you through that grime of loss, but also, you know, because the person who hurt me the most in my life, I lost in real time, and so we didn't get to have that conversation. Not because that person was in prison, not because that person's overseas somewhere, because that person is literally deceased, and so I can't have that conversation on this side of heaven, because I just can't, right? So how do I deal with that? How does one deal with that? And there's no real. I don't have a checklist of, okay, step 1,
right,
forgive. Step 2, have a bowl of cereal. Like, I don't have that, right? Right.
Bowl of cereal sounds pretty good right now.
Yeah, whatever. Have lasagna, Italian, you know, whatever. But I don't have that laundry list of things that you can do. It's just not there, right? But what I know, and for sure, is that it's going to take time. But it takes intention. I'm intentionally moving on, right? You can't accidentally bump into it, or, you know, these things have to be talked out, cried out about. My parents know. I've had several conversations with them to where I'm like, hey, you know, why me? I'm such a good son, you know, right? And so we've had those conversations where I've literally cried my eyes out to them and praise God for them. But that's how it had to happen, even without, you know, focusing on my faith. God was so gracious to send me a great family to help me get through that.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I noticed here, circling back to the other way.
Luckily for me, I'm pure-hearted, so nothing naughty on there.
Right. So I noticed some characters here. There's obviously some key people that are pertinent to the story, important in your life. You want to touch on some of these characters?
Yes. My parents, my brothers, you know, and shameless plug. So, so I am not the only gifted person in my family. So it's kind of one of those things to where, like, you realize that you're part of a family. You're like, I need to go do something, because I can't be walking amongst giants here. I need to you know, walk my walk. I need to figure out what my path is. I'm the son of a writer, so my mother's also a writer. She has a book called A Phenomenal Journey. Cynthia Burden, you know. So shameless plug for her.
Read the book.
Yeah. Read her book too.
We keep saying it.
Yeah, right. So she's a writer. She has a great book out as well. And my father owns a company. I'm wearing some of his stuff right now. Got us watching you, Bad Boy Products. Charles Burden.
Wear the merch.
Yes. I've been saying this plugs for my parents. You know, gotta do it. Gotta use the platform. But then I have a younger brother who's a rapper. I have an older brother who's an entrepreneur out in Hawaii. So it's just, we were a family who were just out there just doing great things. And for me, I was like, where's my place going to be. Something I mentioned to my family every once in a while when we're at family dinners or whatever. Like there was this one point in my young life to where my younger brother was playing basketball. I remember this story, and he's playing the basketball, and I think it's part of like the was it YMCA or whatever that the club was called. And my older brother became the coach of that team, and then my dad was like the assistant coach, yeah, and my mom's just her being the only one, she's like, she's a cheerleader, whatever, so that's what she does. So I'm like, okay, so what are I'm not really into sports, I'm just like, I don't know what my place is, and so, but whatever, I was there to support them. I didn't really care or need necessarily to be doing anything. But then my older brother walks up to me at some point and says, so there are a lot of things that come with managing a basketball team, football team, whatever. There's a lot of things that come with that. The managing part, like the calling them and make sure they make practices, the make sure the Gatorade waters are good to go in the cooler. Just like the little things. Hey, make sure you wear the white jerseys versus the red ones. Like all those little things. So the jerseys need to be laundered and picked up. Just all those little things that someone needs to do when that's not coaching.
The details.
The details. And Lord would say, but do you think you could, the joy on my face, right? The absolute joy on my face of just, and not that they didn't make me feel part of it before, but just the joy on my face and being able to just be part of that, was just spellbounding. Like there was just nothing like it. So when I wrote this book, it's not just a KJ victory. It's a victory for my family. It's a victory for my parents, my brothers, who have always been supportive. A victory for my extended family, who's on there as well. I have one best friend who's become a brother, who's a senior pastor at the church I serve at. I have another friend turned brother who's a detective. Younger brother's a fireman. Another brother who's out here doing stuff, in ministry. And just so much is happening around me to where I'm surrounded by people who do great things. I just, got one who's like works in the city. I don't even actually know what he does, but he can fix any and everything at this church. So that's enough for me, And his wife runs the children's, and her sister does anything and everything when it comes to just making things. I'm just like, what? And there's all their minds, and it's all the same family. I'm just like, what's going on? So, and in all this, I'm like, I gotta challenge myself to do something myself. Where is the piece that I have that God has me? Yes, He has me doing stuff here at the church, 100%. But in all that, I just felt the need to make them part of this project. I want them to be a part of it. They're a part of me. They're part of what's helped me grow. And so because of that, they're a large part of the plot. And I won't say, you obviously don't have a story or a movie that has 18 main characters, but they are all a large part, hence why they're on the back of the front cover, because we had this little photo op thing they all came to, which was really fun. They went there not knowing they were going to be doing certain poses. I had already communicated that to the photographers. They just didn't know until they got there. So some of what you see, there was a prize that day. So you're like, hey, what you do like this? I'm like, oh, okay. I think they all thought we were going to take a whole bunch of selfies and whatever. And keep
Natural poses, right?
Yeah. Nope. It's a thriller, guys. And you notice also looks like no smiles. So I said, okay, so none of us are smiling. Like, oh, yeah, we're not. You know what I'm saying? We at war. You know what I'm saying? We doing God's business. We about God's business. We ain't smiling. We'll smile with the victory that we know is coming. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so it was a fun project. But all of them are part of that project, and some of them couldn't make it, so I kind of just, marketingly entered them in, or production was great. So they did all that hard work and getting other pictures there of other people who weren't physically there. But all that to say, they're all there and part of it because they're a large part of my life. Not that people who are not in the picture, I'm sure I'm going to hear about that, or not, but there are several people that I think in the back of the book as well that I have their pictures in, including you.
Oh, me?
Oh, yeah. In case you didn't know, guys, he's in the book too. But yeah, so it's just there.
Hi, Mom.
No. Yeah. But there are a lot of. But I do that. And it's going to be unique to maybe what you usually see I don't know if there are other authors out there who write books who have real people who put their pictures in them. I don't know. So I'm doing that because it's my way of saying, yeah, I got here, sure, because I'm the one who wrote the book, but there's a whole company, Zulon Express, who helped me publish the book. There's a whole family that I'm surrounded by, that helped encourage me. And every time I was like, oh my gosh, I'm almost done with this book. I got like one more plot left or one more chapter left. And people were like, okay, you got it. Like, I didn't get up this morning. That's okay. Just do this week. You got it. So those like people who were constantly pressing me, just also doing the writing part, which of course is the most fun part, but also the most like, they like be disciplined and hurry up and get it. And then editing is what's the most like
Editing. Yeah.
Man, editing is editing, and editing almost took me as long as writing the book did. So, because you bring like, oh, I don't know if I like that. And then when I decided to take certain like name elements out of it, then I had to go back and change all those things, and make sure that it wasn't like repeated in some other place, and so that there wouldn't be any plot holes. Like, why is this person named this over here, but then they're named this over there? Like, So, and then spelling. Like sometimes I would like instance was like I had Tanya spelled a certain way, but then spelled a different way, and somewhere in the book I'm like, oh.
That's what editors are for.
Yeah, I was like, so I had to go through there, T-A, so I was like, so all those things, right, that you have to do, but these people helped me through the process, and many more, so I just wanted to make sure this is my way of thanking them. Yes, it's my book. Yes, it's something that God put in my heart to do. Yes, it's something that I physically and had to do. I had to get up and go to coffee shops and try to find alone time to focus on doing, but that's what I love doing. And
Personalized, right?
Yeah. That's
Right.
what I love doing, and these people help me do it.
Okay, so to wrap up our discussion here, what we were kind of talking about, not sure if it got on recording or not, but sounds like this is, what do they call that? Sequel? Where it's to be continued. You said it was. There's you're kind of entering into like the third wave, as it were, and there's actually pre-story, there's backstory behind it. Maybe seven different.
Yeah. So interesting enough, I think off camera I mentioned that is literally, and I'm not trying to copy Star Wars, but it's literally almost just like Star Wars movie-wise. Like where they began with number 4, which was A New Hope, right? And then they went into, I can't remember what the 5th one's called.
Word alert! No.
Yeah, I can't remember. But anyway, but that movie through Return of the Jedi was 4 through 6, right? And then they went back to 1, 2, and 3, right, which helped you understand who Anakin was. And then they went back after that to help you understand what happened after Return of the Jedi, right? So this book is literally that smack in the middle. Like it's number 4. There have been 3 other conflicts before this, which is communicated in the book. So it's almost like if you watch Top Gun Maverick, you don't need to watch Top Gun 1 to enjoy Top Gun Maverick, right? Because it references the first movie enough to help you understand what happened, and then that's it. Like you don't need any other in-depth stuff other than just getting nostalgia of watching the first one, right? And that's kind of how it is with this book. The book references the past, but not enough to where if you didn't read those books, you'd be like, well, who are these characters? Because I mentioned past characters or people who have been in previous conflicts like within the book, so you kind of know, okay, they've been in other things, But of course, that's also to kind of give you a little taste of things that might have happened in previous books, so that when I do write them, you've been sure to know. So this is like number 4, and I plan on writing 3 previous and 3 after, kind of and intentionally giving myself some time for natural time to pass before I write the ones following this book. So of course, what's on people's brain? Oh my gosh, when's your book come out? Right. So we are in the stages to where things are printing. Right. There'll be some copies that I'll be reviewing that'll be coming to me soon. And then at that point, after I review them, make sure they're good to go before I put, before they go out to the world. Right. Then I'll be asking for more copies. Right. So that I literally should be getting that at the beginning of next week. And so like Veterans Week. So as I'm getting that and as I'm looking at those, then I can be looking at probably getting enough copies to do a signing party, probably sometime beginning December, maybe mid-December. So we're looking at possible signing whatever scenario happening somewhere at the end of December, early Jan. That's kind of what I'm looking at. Okay, and that's what we're looking at as far as those more dates will come out, of course, following this. I'll be shooting that out via several channels just to make sure it gets out there. But yeah, that's it. It's Destiny's Calling, World United, and I'm looking forward to seeing where God has me going forward with future books and I don't know, future audiobooks, scenarios and this and that. And I'm just looking forward to seeing how it affects the world and just getting my foot out there in that realm, but also hopefully encouraging folks to challenge their faith, but also to understand what this thing Christianity is and what God's about. And hopefully it just challenges you to challenge that and to encourage you just to, realize that in the face of all those things that you can go through, there is a God out there who loves you. So hopefully you can see that in this book and in my heart, and hopefully that just blesses all of you.
Very good. Very good. All right, well, KJ, thank you for your time. Appreciate you taking the time to preface the book with us. It was a pleasure.
Of course.
You can access the book online. It is available currently. The book is going to be available physical copy by the end of the year. Am I correct in saying that? Yeah. All right. So stay tuned, and I hope you enjoy it.